time for a quickie Spectrum game review, I think. And what we have today is, well, not a good game, but definitely a childhood favourite. It's Argus Press's Grange Hill from 1987. I do have quite fond memories of this one, mainly because this was a game that I would always play with my dad. However, we would never actually beat it. So I think it's worthy of a little revisit. Okay, so what is Grange Hill anyway? Obviously all the British people will know already, but for anyone else, Grange Hill was a long-running drama series for children by the BBC, set in a secondary school in North London. What, like Sweet Valley High or whatever? No. This is 1980s England, remember? Everything's bleak and gritty. Well, as gritty as a kids' show could get. It was the intention of the show's creator, Phil Redmond, for Grange Hill to reflect real-life social issues such as bullying, peer pressure, racism and the like that affected kids, and not just be some preppy paradise where everything's awesome and everyone's a model. The show was a British institution, running for 30 years from 1978 to 2008, although the mid-late 80s period where this game comes from is regarded as being basically the show's peak, with characters like Roland, Zammo, Gripper, and the guy you're playing as, Luke Gonch Gardner. Basically, you had your brand new Walkman confiscated from you during the school day, and rather than face the wrath of your mum, you've decided to break into the school after hours and get it back. Your friend, Hollow Holloway, will accompany you on your epic quest. So no, there aren't exactly any high stakes here, but still, it is a worthwhile excursion. Grange Hill takes on the form of a side-scrolling adventure with all the basic commands you would expect and a bunch of rudimentary puzzles, standing on a history book to get a plane, throwing that plane at some matches, giving a dead cat to a girl who's coming after you, that sort of thing. For the most part you do this by picking a command and then typing in what you want to do. While you do have to be annoyingly specific at times, the puzzles aren't exactly the tricky thing here. Your greatest foe will be all of the many traps. Oh, there are many ways for Gonch to die. Walk left on the first screen, you run into your mum, who notices you're missing Walkman immediately and presumably beats you to death with a rolling pin. Notice that loose paving stone there? Walk over that and Gonch will fall, breaking both of his legs. With nobody around to help him, he will die off first in a couple of days. The most hilarious one really is the false teeth. They seem to have a mind of their own. Walk over them and they will leap up and immediately sever Gonch's femoral artery, causing him to bleed out in minutes. Even bollards can kill you. Utterly stationary, concrete bollards that for some reason you have to jump over. In case you haven't figured this out already, Gonch is a total wimp. None of these are the most famous way to die, of course. That's here, in this patch of wasteland, a legendary section of the game where you are offered a small bag of white drugs by a pusher. You can say yes and, well, that's what comes up when you do. That's pretty bloody heavy for a game of a kids show, isn't it? You said yes, Gonch became a degenerate junkie with track marks up his arms by 15, and by 17 he was fucking dead in an alleyway. A truly spectacular game over. Why the big anti-drug message? Again, it's to do with the show. Grange Hill had just come off of its most famous storyline, the one where Zammo got addicted to heroin. It was a very popular and celebrated story, watched by millions, and it even produced a very cheesy 1987 hit single. Just say no. Zammo cleaned up, by the way. Anyway, you simply have to just say no, and the pusher will sod off, never to return. Mind you, you can say most anything aside from yes to the pusher and he'll go away, so, you know, have fun with it. Use the language that Gonch would probably use in real life. And so the game plods on. Those traps will really annoy you, as sometimes you can't do anything about them. The false teeth are the absolute worst. They're right on the edge of a screen, and you have to jump over them in a very specific place. Too close, and you'll land on and be killed by a glass eye that's right at the edge of the next screen, which is a serious dick move. Oh, and for God's sake, if you walk back onto the screen with those teeth still there, they'll kill you immediately. It's not even worth risking a jump over them. The best thing to do is pick the teeth and the glass eye up, which will waste 2 inventory slots, because they'll kill you instantly if you drop them, but leaving them there is, well, foolhardy. Either way, you best make sure you've done everything you need to in this half of the game before this point, including making sure that Hollow is still following you. Ah yes, Hollow. Fucking Hollow. Hollow is unquestionably the worst escort in the history of games, and here's why. First off, he's only with you because he wants to see you screw up, and yet you need him for some reason. He has something that you need right at the end of the game. Secondly, he walks at a snail's pace, meaning that every screen will involve you waiting for him to catch up. If you get a screen's length away, he'll probably stop following you. Thirdly, and worst of all, is that every couple of screens he'll stop following you anyway and say that the whole thing's a waste of time, so you have to talk to him. Specifically, you say, "Come on, Hollow," and he'll follow you once more. Well, for another minute anyway. This is basically half the game, stopping to get Hollow back. Come on, Hollow. Come on, Hollow. Come on, Hollow. Come on, Hollow, you fucking wanker. The couple of saving graces are that you could always just leave him somewhere when he flounces and pick him up again later, and that he is immune to all the many terrifying bollards and loose paving stones that'll, decapitate Grange if he so much as looks at them. But other than that, holy shit, this guy sucks. Anyway, the school itself is a maze. Before anything, you must light a candle that you got from the canal with the matches, otherwise you'll die very quickly. Other than that, it's just screwing around and get into the staff room, all the while keeping Hollow on side. Because finally, when you get below the staff room, Hollow does his one useful thing. You ask him to give you the key to the staff room, which he does. That's kind of annoying. Why? Well, because at no point in this game has it ever been said that Hollow has the key. He just happens to have it on him. You can't even use the take option, which, funnily enough, I don't think is used once throughout the entire game. This is one of those real bastard moves, one that's basically designed to make you phone up a hints and tips line because there are no actual clues. Anyway, you get the key, you go into the staff room and get your Walkman, and then go all the way back home, avoiding Mr. Griffiths on the way. Ah, the good old caretaker. You can get a cameo from him on the way into Grange Hill, but meeting him on the way back is yet another game over. And this final backtrack is the reason why you pick up those damned false teeth. Trying to jump over them from the other side is very hard, if not impossible, and usually means a game over when you're inches away from the finish. But then, after all that, you're home, where you're told that the school needs to sign an insurance form for the Walkman that was stolen from you. That is the original one that the new Walkman you've just risked life and limb to get replaced. So they'll discover that it's missing tomorrow. And who are they going to think did it? Grange has no choice but to break back in and put the Walkman back. It's always nice to have a satisfying ending, isn't it? Completing Grange's quest is certainly a challenge, Lynn, and there are many irritating things about that challenge. While it's a very short game once you know what to do, most people will probably get sick of shouting at Hollow before too long, maybe even before you get to the labyrinth of the school itself. Grange Hill just isn't a nice place, so I guess the game got that right. It's not a bad adventure game in some ways, and the 1-8K version has this great, indelibly catchy in-game music courtesy of David Whittaker, but there's so many shite things about it that I can't possibly recommend it. It's full of instant death gotcha style gameplay, and has a granite flow thanks to that blonde bastard who's following you. As a Grange Hill game, it kind of falls down a bit. You wish there were some more characters. Aside from our two heroes, you only see brief cameos from Imelda and Mr. Griffiths. You wish it was actually set in the school, perhaps even during a school day. And that's the thing, isn't it? The best games ever about a school day had already been made. And hell, you could even change the people's names in them. So why not have Eric be Grange, Boy Wonder be Zammo, Angel Face be Gripper, Mr. Wacker be Bridget even, or any of your other favourites? Grange Hill can't hope to lick the shit off School Days' shoes, alas. Still, it's not bad. I certainly played it a lot back then. A crude little adventure with some funny twists and the odd famous or infamous moment. Also available on the C64 and Amstrad, although this is obviously the definitive version. Or rather, I've never played those ones. The game was by Colin Jones, who would actually go on to work at Codemasters and produce the almighty Rockstar Ate My Hamster, as well as a much better game that combined platforming and adventuring, 1991's Slightly Magic, which we may well end up looking at in a future episode. For now though, I think that's about all for this one. I'll see you on the other side of the spectrum. Before we go, however, some kids have an important message for you.
Say no, no, just say no, just say
Bye for now.
no, just say no.
Many thanks for watching this video on the good old 80s classic Grange Hill. If you like this video then do consider liking the video, following me on social media, subscribing to this YouTube channel, and also supporting me on Patreon. And now let's thank some people. Seth Robinson, Jason Leach, Sean Zoltek, Ian Roberts, Grayson Blackpool, Ben Coker, Adam Schaefer, Martin Pataki, Taylor Armand, Mark Johnston, Twisted Scroat, Chris Wilkins, Mitchell Mann, Simon Gulliver, Andy Capt, Andrew Dalton, Johan Eriksson, David Page, Conformist, Jay Kellerich, L. O'Brien, Seth Barlow, Peter Sidorn, Grant Butler, Vishar D, Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva, Olaf Albin, Dragon Sex Master, Phil Taprock, Jamie Hampshire, Romeo, Lee Norris, Tim Lintz, Robert Kelly, Matt Lee, Jamie Davenport, Simon Urley, The Chief Lunatic, Dennis Andre, Lataro Areno, Chris, Mark Brinton, Jan Mahoost, Craig Nellis, James Malloy, John Davenport, Olaf Jonsson, James Halliday, Richard Bearwell, Hagenator, Wadek, Ken Barraclough, Alvaro Gonzalez, Stephen Hornsby, Jan Best, Robin Banks, Dan Wasco, Christian Earnshaw, Kev Gilmore, Alexander Green, Greg Olson, Mark Johnson, Stuart Ashen, James Idd, Novel, Gerard Morris, Mike Siegler, Mark Brooks, Jan Velton, Gianni Giacchetta, Lee Harris, Russell Hugo, Paolo Leary, Graham Kamak, Scott Mittin, Nicole Ketchum, and the Ninth Demon. Thank you all so much for your fantastic support. Now, the next video will be something a bit different. We're going to the old magazines for a look at another war. But until then, wherever you are and whoever you be, have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.